And today is International Day for the Boy Child. Yes, every day is a day. And today specifically, we speaking to the boy child. Of course, we know that unfortunately, the boy child is facing, or boy children are facing difficulties in navigating through society today. Some may argue that we lacking boys or men who willing to make that sacrifice as opposed to yesteryear. And the list goes on and on. But as we recognize the day today, we will be speaking to some of the concerns and be speaking to some of the institutions, I would say, that are making way for the development of the boy child or boy children. And with us this morning, we have Ryan Stuart, of course, a coach, a manager, a role model. With us, a former player. I don't know if he's still actively playing on a professional level, but he's with us this morning to speak not just about his academy, but the role that a man like him and his team, his supporting team, plays in helping young men, young children in society. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, good morning. Good morning to Channel 5. Good morning to Tobago on a whole. And good morning to all the young men out there, you know. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I mean, it's the last minute thing, but still thankful to be here. Again, it is key for us to really focus on our young men, because I think our young men, they are really going astray. And it's plenty hard work for us as coaches, all the coaches, and I could talk for all the coaches. I know it is a challenge when coping with some of these young men, because for me, I think the challenge starts from the household, where fathers is lacking. So with fathers lacking, you find you're going to have disturbance, because there is not, for me, I think the role of a man is different from the role of a woman, because I think that is why God created man first, create us to be dominant over all things. And with that being said, when a man is in the household, you get a different reaction from all the children. Because if mommy tells you to move that, it might take a little time, but when you hear the voice of your father, you react totally different. So for me, I think the men need to step up, the fathers need to step up to really bring these young men to the level that we need them to be better men than us.
International Day of the Boy Child is celebrated on May the 16th each year, right? But of course, outside of this particular date, the role of, I guess, father figures, as you mentioned, remains important throughout the year, right? But as a coach, the perspective may be different when you look at how to deal with some of the issues that boy children are facing. Because a youth man may not speak to certain issues at home, maybe react in a particular way at home, and the parent or parents may not necessarily be able to pinpoint why we're seeing these behavioral patterns. However, as a coach, you're able to see the individual in a different space interacting with a group, within a group, and you may be able to see certain things and tackle it different. How is that, how you as a coach would navigate in terms of not encroaching on the role of the parents, but treating with the individual on and off the field without being too, how to put it, too pushy, as we say in local terms? How is that navigated?
Now, well, it's not a matter of being too pushy. I think your role as a coach, as a man, you must be able to see something and be able to deal with it. And it's not, you can't really shelter it too much, but you have to be able to, deal with it in a way where it wouldn't make a bad impact onto the young man or whoever it is that you're speaking to. Because, again, you could see, well, for me, I grew up with just mommy and my two brothers. So sometimes I could see a youth man, I know that he with mommy alone. But the difference between my mother was real dread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mother was real dread. So I couldn't just operate anyhow. I had to operate with a little order. because I know what are going to be the consequences behind that if I reacted a certain way. So now when I see a youth man, I could tell, well, this youth man here do have that father figure because I've seen certain things, I've seen certain qualities. So now me now have to come and reason with you, put your square. And some of these young men just open up to you in such a way that it doesn't even hurt your heart. You know, I tell you, it have some stories that it does definitely hurt your heart. Some of them, they're struggling so much, they don't even know where they're getting the next meal from. You know, so we gotta find a way to, and I will always open and I will always try to help my players in every way that I can. Because they're seeing where they're struggling with certain things. And the easiest thing for them to do is to fall on the block. Because I'm on the block to give something and tell her, well, watch me, I'm going to make her comfortable with this. You know? And that's where we, at Brathwaite Football Academy, Coach JJ and myself, we really try to make sure and build that spiritual foundation in our players. So, you know, we try to nurture them with the word of God and encourage them. Sometimes we let them reach home, let us reach home a little late because the discussion does be so nice that them and all will be sharing their views and, you know, asking certain questions, and it will take you a longer time. So for me, it does be an easy thing. We just move with the flow. The Father does put the right things in you to say. So, you know, it just has happened. We just let the conversation just flow, and at the end of the day, we're seeing where it works a lot.
But what about those who would say, quote unquote, well, I'm a big man, and they're not really hearing what you're saying. They may be hearing, but they're not really listening and absorbing and applying the resource that you're providing to them, the suggestions, the help, the support. How you navigate with those type of individuals?
Well, to be honest with you, I never really get a player telling me that kind of stuff, you know? Because I think from your first day, when you come, you had to fall into the rules and regulations.
Okay, so there's an order.
I mean? Yeah, it's an order, you know? So I wouldn't have a youth man wouldn't, I can't recall a youth man telling me anything out of timing at all, because from the day, from the first time I start dealing with any player, I pour all my cards on the table. Even the parents are again the rules and regulations. This is how we function here. And it's either they like it or they don't like it, because it's all about discipline. And we help discipline your child. So I can't recall no player doing something like that. Even when we have a futsal on a Friday, we even invite the guys to the court from the block to come and play with us. And they know the rules. They will take off the earrings. They know that there is no obscene language. And I only tell them that for the first time we did it. I told them that, and that is a rule, and I respect the youth men and them for that.
And they fall in line, and that's the thing. So you have a system in place that is working, and basically is an order in place. But maintenance of that though, so they may come to Brathwaite's Football Academy, or they may come to the futsal that you have on a Friday and so on. I mean, you could only do so much, but the maintenance of that level of discipline, because when they leave, they might fall back into their regular flow of things.
And that is a challenge there. And it only becomes a serious challenge because parents not really playing an important role in their children's life also. Because parents will just bring their children to the academy, drop them and go. They wouldn't even see if they're improving. They wouldn't stay around so that when they're going home with them, they could afford to have a conversation with them to improve them. They just miss out on so much, because after training, we sit up in the stands and we will have a conversation, and we're going to continue talking about to instill that discipline, instill the code of conduct, how you're supposed to present yourself on and off the field. And if parents are not around for those things, and they're not helping us in no way, because we put in all these work, and when they go home, they're going back to, to anything. So the parents had to collaborate with us. And the parents have to be there to support the children. And I'm going to tell you this, it does be hurtful that when a child go to play a football match, and he's seeing two of his partner parents there, and he have nobody there, it's a hurtful thing. And parents don't understand how hurtful it does be for their sons to be facing things like this. It is hurtful, because the word of support, the word of love. If you don't show up to watch me play, it means I feel like if you don't love me, you don't check for me. So at the end of the day, it is crucial. And I'm a big fan of this program, Brother B program. But I've been saying it for years. that you're going to certain programs outside, and if one of the parents and the child can't take part.
Yeah.
I always saying that. And when you watch at it, it's a key thing for parents to be there to support their children. You give them a motivation. You're encouraging them to even work harder. They're happy. It's no self you're getting the best out of them.
Yeah, and in fact, the International Day for the Boy Child speaks to that, providing things that would make
them happy,
make them feel appreciated. And I was looking at something that you mentioned, in addition to what you just mentioned, you mentioned earlier on instilling that spiritual foundation. To find the time to speak to that, because persons would argue that we live in a society now that is lacking that level of spirituality that keeps you on track and keeps you in order. When you speak to these issues, when you speak to the spirituality of things, and when you speak to love, that vibration within the let's speak, for example, your academy, is it something that even without you, you are seeing the development of certain leaders amongst the group who can speak directly to these these support mechanisms?
Again, I must give credit to Coach JJ, Miss Ansela Peters, even Miss Missika. Even my wife, must say good morning to my wife and my children. My wife supported me a lot in this, and she know that I don't play with the Lord. I don't play when coming to the Lord, because I know who I was before and I know who I am now. And because God have done so much for me, He placed me in this position to deal with people's children, to help them to change themselves, to help them to believe in themselves. You know, and when God created man, He created work. Created work first, and then He created man. And I learned that from Miles Monroe. Because man had to till the soil and do all the work, and then He created a helper. But if we're not teaching our men, our young men, to maintain this, because I'll tell you this, we stray from our teaching, you know. We stray from our teaching because when we get up, we had us to do work before we go to school. And now these young men that's getting up, some of them men say brushing their teeth, you know, and they just go on. And what values we teaching them for when them have their children? So everything breaking up right there. So we now have to try and bring back the word of God and try to encourage them and show them the role that they have to play. Everybody have a role to play.
The theme this year is specifically building self-esteem in boys. Stand up, be heard, be seen. You would have players, or I don't know if you refer to them as players or students or children, but they would be within different groups, different age groups and stuff. And there may be certain individuals that may not necessarily suffer from being attracted to a life of crime or doing the wrong thing or walking down the wrong path, but they may be good citizens, but they're struggling from maybe a mental standpoint, they're struggling from a confidence standpoint, or they're probably victims of bullying and that kind of stuff. Treating with those type of youngsters, how is that process?
Well, again, there's certain things that I never encounter, and that is, one is bullying. Well, again, let me rephrase that. I remember there was this young man that came and joined our club. He had no fingers, and he wanted to be a goalkeeper.
No fingers and wanted to be a goalkeeper?
Yeah, on one hand.
Right.
Now, I'm a goalkeeper. My whole career I play as a goalkeeper. I did not tell him that he can't do it, but I motivate him. But something happened in the training session where one of the players started, you know, heckling him. And, you know, my training session got stopped one time. And when I don't speak, not just to the player, but to everybody, we do discriminate. We do break down, we build up. And I trained that young man with no fingers, and he was doing excellent. He played in one tournament with us, and for some reason, I never see him after that, all up to today. But the youth man did very well, and I never hear nobody tell him anything about his fingers in our training session. There was this fat guy, goalkeeper again, and one boy again pressure him because of his size, and that had to stop. I just step in immediately. I don't play that because I don't believe in that. I don't believe in discrimination. I don't believe that we should be treating each other. We should treat each other the same way. And to be honest, I did some work with Happy Haven School with these autistic kids, and I treat them just like normal players. They went to the competition, they came second. I treat them just like normal players. I react to them just like normal players because you reacting to them differently cause them to feel different or cause them to think different. So, for me, as a coach, you have to be able to have patience. You have to be able to motivate players, especially those who we know might not be like the regular kids.
And in terms of producing leaders, now, I mean, at football clubs, in different football teams and stuff, you would be able to select a captain, a vice captain. You could see certain persons with leadership qualities from the jump. Of course, their skills may add to that as well.
Yeah.
But we live in a society where there are a number of followers, right? In terms of developing and producing more leaders as a coach, tell us, I mean, you may not necessarily be able to let everything out in terms of your ways or your approaches, but we want more leaders in society today.
Yeah, well,
tell us.
Again, as I say, God created us to be leaders. And, I mean, sometimes based on how a player operates with everybody. And also, again, his skill level had to be up there too, because, you want your captain to always be on the pitch to make sure and keep everything intact. To make sure and motivate and encourage the players. And then, we have a few captains. Geraldo, Stuart, we have DeAndre, we have Shea at times, and these guys are well-groomed young men. They present themselves properly, they work hard, they're always encouraging. So we select a captain based on how you conduct yourself. You have to be able to function properly and be able to make sure and lift your team up and your team down. Again, the skill sets still go with it because you want them to be out there at all times.
Yeah, I want to touch on something that is coming up with you and your team and the academy. But just quickly, in terms of taking responsibility, I mean, that is another issue that, unfortunately, our young men may not necessarily be doing. I mean, I too, personally, may not take responsibility for certain things. But you want to work on some of those downfalls. And also dealing with conflict resolution and that kind of stuff. Any advice to even your peers? Because, I mean, you would do your work, you would have an order in your academy, but there may be some other coaches or leaders in society today that may be strong in certain aspects, but dealing with conflict resolution and instilling in a youth man's head that, hey, you must own up to certain things that you do. And so it seems to be a hard task these days, especially with the advancement of social media and what you're seeing and picong and you taking that by, and that kind of stuff is evident in society today. But feel free to offer that kind of advice. Seeing that you have an order in your system.
Again, everything starts with the foundation that you have to. Again, as I tell you, when you come into our system, you're coming into a foundation that's set, and straight off the bat, we make sure that we enlighten you on all rules and regulations and how we want you to conduct yourself and stuff. But, recently we took the guys out for a weekend at a villa in, can't remember the name right now, in Studley Park. And that weekend, we took them out to teach them certain values and, how to operate, how to function. And there are times where we have different groups, like four or five in a room, and where when we go to do inspection, your room have to be well organized. Clothes have to be well folded up. Coach JJ is a soldier, so he's the man who will do most of the inspection. What I will pass, he wouldn't pass. And these young men, when they make 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, these guys will get up and start putting themselves, the room in an order. And when you go and you visit the rooms was even better than when we went there. You know, no disrespect to the people, and then the place was beautiful, well kept, but we take it up a notch. You know, and we're showing them that when you go home, that's how you're supposed to keep your room, keep your house. You have to keep your household in order. You know, resolving conflicts, not few, but those that come around, we dealt with it in a civilized way where we could, you know, pull the players them square by themselves and reason with them and let them know what, if the two of you is teammates, we can't be fighting and quarreling with each other. You know? And sometimes there's be some simple things. You know, but boys will always be boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
all that we made the same mistakes when we was growing up too. Me and you might be partners and we fall out, but at the same time we used to fix it.
And I'm glad you mentioned that there, because boys will always be boys.
Yeah.
And another term that we will say is you have to live your boy days.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you have to literally burn to learn. And I guess I still young, but what I'm saying is put in positions where you can encourage, motivate, lead the generation below you. You need to keep that in mind in terms of dealing with that, because I more or less wanted to get from you those in leadership positions like yourself as a coach and so on need to still understand that certain things would remain, but you still have to exercise a certain level of instilling discipline, order, spirituality, as you mentioned, love. But you can't necessarily manipulate. There's a certain level of manipulation that tends to creep in when you're trying to be a little too controlling, and that sometimes, or most times, would affect the youngster even more than certain other measures.
Yeah, well, again, our motto is love, discipline, unity, family. And for me, I think once a leader loves the people that is following him and treat everybody the same, have the same love for everybody. Even if you love somebody more than somebody, don't even show it. Try and keep it, you know, because from the moment you show it, you're causing a conflict within your camp. So which means you have to treat everybody the same way. And I believe that leaders have to treat everybody the same way. You have to look out for each other. It don't matter who it is or who your parents is, you have to treat everybody. I talk to everybody the same way. Everybody.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to understand it are no favorite here. You understand? Because it's total love and everybody had to get the same love.
Yeah.
If a man do have a boots, I do business with you. I have one, you're getting it. You need a socks, you're getting it. Nah, I cannot know that. And we as leaders have to make sure that even and just a touch on this, I need to stray, but when you watch plenty of the youth men and them now, you're smoking weed. You're on the corner right through. But then you have to blame the leaders too. Because the leaders make it easy. They make it easy for us to start to smoke. Before, you couldn't smoke just so. You couldn't smoke on the side of the road. You know what I mean? Because the police locking you up. But now there's nothing. Some men walk in the street. Men stand up next to youth. Men stand up next to the people who catching the taxi to go and they're smoking right there. You know, so again, leadership quality. Leadership quality. You had to think through what you're doing. Think through, you know, because you're mashing up the youth men and them. And then we want to say the youth men and them this, the youth men and them this, but we ain't taking blame as leaders. We had to take blame too because we were creating the problems. You understand? We had to think through everything.
And an interesting point there as you segue there, and I want to just now touch on the actual sport and the works that Brother Rai Academy is doing in terms of the actual sport. Now, sports provide, in the world that we're living in today, you could earn a serious living playing sports. And I want to touch on that because there was a time where, and still is in certain spaces, where education is shoved down the throat of the individual and
academics.
Strictly books, and without taking into consideration that this talented son or daughter yes, you want them to be balanced, because we could all agree that you would want balanced citizens. But in that pushing down the academic road approach, you totally prevent the individual from taking part in sports. I want to speak to that reality.
Yeah.
And you can take the opportunity to highlight some of the success stories that your academy is doing with regards to the actual sport and players advancing their career.
Yeah, well, again, for me, it's a dangerous thing. From my experience, I see it as a dangerous thing because I remember some players that come through, and I must say good morning to Signal Primary School. This is where everything started, at the Signal Primary School. The club tied to Signal Primary School, and I must say good morning to the principal there because Ms. Trisha Devines is the one that have me in this position today as a coach, and she pushed me to start the academy, you know, and I'm really grateful for her, and I must say thanks to Signal Primary School. And, you know, there was players from the Signal Primary School system who were going to do SA, and parents stopped them from playing. And you never see these guys back on the football field after SA. And they were coming really nice. You know, they was coming really nice. So for me, I think we really focus plenty on academics and not giving the young men and them a chance to really, you know, live their dream. Or, yeah, they have to balance it, but sometimes you pull them out of football because they didn't do good in this test. They didn't do good in that, you know, didn't get a good result. So we pull them from football. And for me, I think that's a dangerous thing because now, where am I not? Because you pull them out from football, they have nothing to live for. That's what they might tell you. They have nothing to live for, so boy, whatever happen. Some of them men get good grades. That's why some of them on the corner too, because you take away where they love, because you're trying to use that as a punishment.
Right.
But why don't you use that as something to really get them up there, you know? But again, where they have to look forward to, where we, the players, having to be able to look forward to. And that's the critical thing there. What's our next step? I was talking to your host and them look wild about that. The guys them must say look wild. And where's the next step? Where can we see our players going? How can we improve sports to improve the youth and them lives here in Tobago? First thing first, and again, sports could build the economy. But how it building? You have proper facilities. How we players could improve? You have proper grounds. We have no proper lighting system. Imagine I using signal grounds and I can't say a key for the washroom. My boys had to go and lean up on a fence to pee. And I went to the director of sports, I talked to them, asked them, and nothing. We don't have no lights. We had people in the community who used to walk in the night. They can't walk again because the place in total darkness. How can we build anything?
Wait, so at Signal Hill Field there, the lights?
Yeah. The lights down for so long.
Still?
So long. How can we build anything? How can we improve? And these are showing these condition things is. And everybody, who she comments win, everybody uproar. Everybody love shit. But hear what? What about the sacrifice and the hard work and the things that she wanted? She couldn't get it. Understand what I'm
Yeah.
We only just see glory and want to be a part of it at the end of everything. But what about the process to get there? The support.
I mean, and we have the talent, without a doubt.
We have real talent.
And talent can only take you so far. You need certain things to support the talent, which is evident. I didn't know that's the situation still with the light in there, because, I mean, I thought by now it would have fixed. And it just pointing to an example of what is holding back our talented individuals, because there's only so much you can do, but the lack of certain resources would impact you. In terms of the academy though, I understand you all did a tour last year, right? Tell us about some of the opportunities that...
No, we didn't do a tour last year.
You all traveled before?
No. This is the first time we're trying to make a run. Yeah?
Okay. But I probably mistaken your involvement in a different capacity.
We was involved with the Titans.
Understood. But in terms of the opportunities that the academy is providing, I mean, someone may be listening today and don't have a clue about the academy. Take the opportunity to tell us exactly registration and some of the opportunities that the academy provides.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start with one of the opportunity that we're trying to encounter right now. I got an invitation to go to England for the boys to be seen, a couple of our boys to be seen. So we're trying to get them out there. It's two clubs. We're trying to get them out there. Scouts, everything, going to be there to see the boys. And imagine they're targeting a specific age group. It's under 11s and under 14 boys, right? And we're trying to really get the guys out there. Right now, we're doing some fundraiser. We have a fundraiser coming up on the 31st of this month right there in Signal Hill. It's a fun day for the children. We want to ask the public to come out and support. We're still looking for support to get the guys up and running. You know, due to the visa application stuff, it make it a little harder now.
Yeah.
So
in
it's
the UK.
It's a bit challenging. But at the end of the day, in order to get success, you gotta fight hard, and no matter what coming your way, you gotta try and give those hurdles to go. We have our donation cards that we're dealing with too. Also, we're still asking the public to support us, to help us to get the guys out there. I think this opportunity will be a good one. It's just for me to go and see if we could get the door unlocked to make sure that we could get, and it's not just for our academy, but we're trying to do this, that the Tobago players could get an opportunity to be seen. Mm-hmm. Because come probably next year, we want to see if we could get these guys to come down here and run a whole camp and look for players and everything. We're trying to see if we can make it happen. Yesterday itself, we had the coaches out there called me in a meeting, and it was a nice conversation. They really want to have a team from this area. They really want to deal with somebody from this area.
And what type of coaches are you talking about? Schools or clubs?
Nah, club coaches.
Club coaches, all right. Yeah.
And they even asked me, if it wasn't like how it is now, I would be able to take at least 3 players to go to Fulham in a tournament with these guys' team. Because Fulham having a tournament. And they asked me if I could get players up there in the time they would be able to go and showcase yourself. But because of the visa restriction, you can't just jump on a plane and go anywhere. Yeah. So now we're just going through the whole channel. So we asking for assistance. I feeling that, I must say to my fundraising community, I think they're doing a wonderful job with these fundraisers. And we just want the support. Tobago ain't really saying anything, so we had to go and look for it.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. But, just an example, they give their Fulham FC, for those who are unaware, an English Premier League team, successful. And, of course, out there, you're born in the UK or you're born nearby in one of these major nations, and you filter into the academy, which gives you a better chance of becoming a professional senior team player. Yeah. Unfortunately for us, we have to take a little more. Basically, in local parents, we got to look for it in order to get that type of opportunity. But I hope that you get the support that you're requesting, and you continue to do the good work as a coach, as a leader. And we hope that the players could get more opportunities, because, when you look at, even in the national setup, when you look at the ratio in terms of players coming from Tobago on the national teams, whether it be senior team or even youth levels, there's a difference. And you want to be able to develop these players to a level where, yes, they can compete with the world, but also you want to be able to provide different mechanisms for them to even get the opportunity to reach there and be seen, because that is an issue.
The thing about it too is that for me, it is hurt. It is hurt when I see our national system functioning, and how our Tobago getting leave out in so many different ways. And I've been asking for a while now for us to start building our own under 14 and under 17 teams. Even like before, we had a senior team here. In my time of playing. So these FCU tournament and thing, I think we Tobago could get their own under 14 and under 15 team taking part in that, until the national team have their own thing. But we in Tobago need to start to say about ourselves, and that is not happening. We keep on having to be, struggling. And then we at a disadvantage because, look, for instance, Jumaane Phillips, he had to be traveling every weekend to go down and train. The parents had to find a way to get tickets. The support system not there. It is a really hard challenge. Now players moving to go to Trinidad, and I will tell you this, That players, even from our academy now, they in Trinidad training every weekend.
So they migrated to Trinidad
No, they didn't migrate. They're living here, but they had to go down every weekend because they go to these clubs. Because they tell us if they're getting a better opportunity to do something or go somewhere down there.
Yeah.
So we now need to build our product here. And we need we need the support. We need the support from sports. We need support from everybody. From everybody, because watch, when I say I had to be going and make it, I seen Sid Gray here, national player. But how much fellas and them could do?
Yeah. And the last time around, of course, Showtime would have represented on the senior team. You know, at his age.
Right. And watch out, and Showtime was very talented player from since he's 14, 17. I remember the youth man. And at the end of the day, watch how long it takes for him to make a national team. But if we had our own system here, at least we could call some of these teams for friendlies and stuff who looking to go to World Cup qualifiers. Tobago could do that. And I think the Tobago Football Association need to get a more cloud when coming to decision making in the football too. Because when I watch all these people coming to Trinidad, the Tobago Football Association don't even have a proper office or you know, nothing proper to see. They don't have a building that they could say they could house a team that come in here. So we real far behind. And how we fixing them things? We need to say about ourselves. And we need to say about we people, because we have too much talent here wasting.
And that's the thing. And the way out football is going nowadays.
It's a big business.
It's a business, but you're seeing people 16, 17 years old, and they are the heights of the competition abroad. And we have the talent here, and as they get older and older, you might decide that it isn't making sense. I go find a work and lose out on the opportunity.
But I must say something too. The players here want it too also. Because I'll tell you this, I don't think the players now work as hard as we used to work. And imagine we're going to mix concrete all day and still come and train and still show up for game and still give 100. And as Sid Gray rightfully said, if this was in our time, Tobago might have been empty. Because we had so much good talent, so much quality players, naturally good. Trust me when I tell you that. We had naturally quality players. So if we had that opportunity today, like William having now, plenty of us would have been out here. I would have liked to watch back some of my videos when I used to play.
Yeah.
Now they could afford to do things. So now they had to get up and get. They ain't getting up and do nothing in the morning. They're waiting for a coach to coach here. So that is the difference.
Very interesting conversation. And this could go on and on. Ryan, or Brother Ryan. Yeah. But I mean, any parting words? I mean, and we hear the call, and it's a real situation that needs to be tackled seriously. And I know, because I can speak for myself, but we fed up of the talk and no action, you know. But we need to pull together to continue to push the narrative to ensure that we're not losing. And look, we have the reality right in front of our faces. We're seeing that talented individuals are turning to a life of crime or going down a particular road because of lack of opportunity, lack of guidance, and so on. So I know earlier on we started speaking to the development of the holistic young man. But even looking at the sport in particular and the opportunities and the lack of opportunities, that is something that also needs to be tackled. So everything can kind of come together in the best interest of the young man. And as we celebrate International Day for the young boy or the young boy child, any parting words?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say good morning and to my son, Stuart, and I hope that you have a blessed day today. Daddy might be looking hard on you, but it's because I want you to be a better man than me, and I want you to be responsible for everything, all your actions, and I really want you to be successful. Again, I want to thank Channel 5 for giving me the opportunity this morning, for being here, for sharing a few words, and to all the young men, you guys need to step up your game. Fathers, step up your game. Be responsible mothers. Give the fathers a chance to take care of their children. And yeah, let me see if we could work together hand in hand and build a society better than this. Tobago is our place. Always have love. And I find the love just shifting away. We ain't know nothing about that. We know about looking out for each other. And we strain from that, and we need to get that back. We need to get that back intact as quick as possible. Coaches, we could come together, put all the best players together, and build one team and go somewhere with them. We had to go and look for it.
And before you go, in terms of and of course we appreciate your words, but in terms of coaches, is there a union? I mean, how does that work in terms of coaches, not just in Tobago, but Trinidad and Tobago? Is it just a friend thing, you interact with coaches who you build a relationship with, or is there a particular
There was one
union?
point that Mr. Wayne Clark was trying to build a coaches association, and it didn't came off. I think it was just two of us went to the meeting, and but
because we can't be operating in silos.
Yeah, so that's something again that we need to really get up and running, where we could have our own coaches program that we could come and have our monthly meetings and what we're preparing for the future and how we could work together and get these. Because if we ain't get that togetherness, it could be real hard. It could be everybody else doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else doing their own thing. Again, as I say, when you watch football on TV, Spain have a brand.
Exactly. That's the point I'm coming to.
The clubs that follow the brand. So if we could create our own program and our own brand, each club have to follow that. So they're coming up now in a system where they have a structure to follow.
Yeah.
So everybody have a playing style.
Correct.
We have a different playing style. So we need to get something. We need to get that together. Yes, so that we could get players out of here.
Yeah.
It's hard for we to get players out of here if we do have a collaboration. It's gonna be real hard because we're still fighting against each other.
All right, but continue to do the good work, and just see the opportunity in terms of persons if they want to get registered. Can you contact a particular number or page or so on?
Yeah, you could call Brathwaite Football. You could call me at 737-4824. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and also TikTok. Yeah, Brathwaite Football Academy.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right. Any tournament coming up soon?
Yeah, we have Kicking with Karen coming up soon.
Yes. We conversation.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to Kicking with Karen. It's always a nice tournament. I think she's doing a good job. She tournament getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, we there to support she. Full 100. Trying to get the guys ready, trying to get the teams organized. They know it's coming up. And what to make it hard now is promotion test. So you got to find out parents that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, so
it's a challenge, but we gonna make it. It's all about having fun, good fun. Getting the guys to go out there and play and have the fun of football, man.
You're still actively saving. I start off saving.
Yeah, actually, I supposed to be going to St. Lucia Masters tournament with a team called Sunday Crew. This gonna be my second season going with them.
Right.
So I should be.
And you're flying.
Yeah. Last year, I surprised Mr. Fan all didn't know that. I also take part in David Thomas had a 7v7 tournament.
Right.
So I play with my youngsters. Just try to get my body back in tune because I ain't really doing nothing much to play the game like before, But yeah, I still think I have a little thing in my still, man.
Yeah, no one are talking football, I could go on and on. So forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. But are we seeing an interest, persons interested in goalkeeping?
We've seen a few. I have some in my club that I'm working with. Mostly as an on goalkeeper, I must pick up Makaya Taylor.
Okay.
He's in Germany right now, out there playing. Come through the academy. And I'm really proud of the guy. He and his father and his mother, they work really hard. They push him, they support him. We have coaches, Richard Goddard, also had a play to do with him too also. I think the youth man is doing very well. And we have some young ones coming up too that is doing excellent.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. I like my goalkeepers and I'm working hard with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working hard with them.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we just had a conversation there with Ryan Stuart from Brathwaite Football Academy. And, of course, they continue to do the good works.
Yeah,
and as we recognize International Day for the Boy Child, he offered some suggestions and just speak to the issues that we are facing in society today. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure.
Come on Friday and take our foot.
Yeah, come on.
I know that.